Morning, Professor Ottawa.
Morning, how are you?
Pretty
Good
good.
morning.
turn on your camera, you gotta get down close.
Okay, it is 9 o'clock. I see we're still a few people short. Not bad. I think we're still 3 people short. I'll keep an eye open for them. I thought, and as you might understand, I am not entirely new to Zoom, but apparently there are things about Zoom I don't understand 100% yet. I thought I had set up this room so that you could let yourself in with the password and you wouldn't need me to bring you in from the waiting room. I'm going to check on that and figure out what I did wrong. And so hopefully in the future, you'll be able to come in without waiting in the waiting room. All you have to do is put in the password and that will be that. That's what I'm going for. You should be able to get into the Zoom room before I arrive. So it's, you know, you can arrive as early as you want and get into this classroom. So I am Dr. Ordewer. I teach Calculus 1, and some of you I have already met, and many of you, this is the first time I'm meeting you. Some of you, this is your very first college class ever under these weird and extraordinary circumstances. I'm sure this is not quite what you were imagining at the beginning of your senior year of high school, for those of you that are just entering first years, but here we are. We've had some classes online already since the pandemic began, and I find that students are remarkably resilient, and we have not just made the best of it, but had good classes. And I'm hoping this will be another one of them. Before we go on, there is a URL behind me. Is that visible on your screen? Can you go ahead and bring that up? So that should be my web page. Is it loading properly for you? Can you give me a thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up from Bhuvan. Okay, from Sarah. All right, 3, 4, 5. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I might have missed. Is there anybody, so thank you for all your thumbs up, 20. Is there anybody who's still struggling with that, having trouble bringing it up? You can give me a this or whatever. Okay, so you've all got it. So once you're there, click on, at the left side of the page, Math 149 Calculus 1, and that will take you to the page for our course. And once you're there, click on the syllabus. Everybody got the syllabus? Should look something like this, only not a piece of paper. Okay, so let's take a look over the syllabus. I've given you my contact information. I've always put my office number on the, my office location on my syllabus before. I'm not too sure what good that's going to do you this semester, but at least you'll know where to find me when you get to campus, hopefully next semester. So that's where I am right now. I am in my office. This is the blackboard in my office. Maybe one of these days I'll give you a tour of my office. It won't take very long. Just bookshelves over there, my desk over there, and the blackboard behind me, which is what you will see most this semester. I gave you my office telephone number. I don't know why I do that anymore either. It's been like a decade since the last time a student got a hold of me via my office telephone. But feel free to give me a call if you have any questions. But I gave you my email address, which is a much more reliable way of getting a hold of me, since I am not always in my office, but I do answer email. And I gave the web address, which is the same web address you've already typed in, and you have are sort of exploring that web page right now. The office hours, I don't know if you noticed my office hours, but when you were on that first page that you went to with that URL up there, the office hours are on that page. Right now I have office hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday and Wednesday in the afternoons and Tuesday and Thursdays I have in the morning. Those may change this semester. We're trying to do everything dynamically, so keep an eye on that on the web page in case anything changes there. The text for the course. The text for the course. I'll certainly have the text from the bookstore. I don't know if you've purchased it yet, but this is the text for the bookstore. I deliberately choose an old edition of the text for this course. And the reason I do that is because new texts in math are hideously expensive. The newest version for this, I believe, is somewhere between $200 and $300. This version of the text you should be able to pick up online for under $20. It's heavy, so there may be a little extra for shipping, but it should be a lot cheaper than buying the new version. We will not need a textbook for the first few weeks. We are going to be doing review before we get to the calculus material. So in the off chance that you haven't actually ordered a textbook yet, you still have a chance to do it now, and it should arrive by the time you need it. But you will need the textbook. I do assign practice problems from the textbook once we get that far, just about every day. Every class day, I should say. So the catalog description for the course, you don't need me to go over that. The course objectives, you don't need me to go over that. In terms of getting help in this course, this, as you can't fail to notice, is a really weird semester. So as important as it is during a non-weird semester for you all to ask questions, it is crucial now. I need to be able to help you. I need to be able to give you assistance to clear up just little things. It's usually just something little when there's confusion going on. So I'm going to ask you a few things. If you feel comfortable, and I know it's not always possible and not always comfortable, please leave your camera on. I'm not going to make it mandatory, but I ask that you would leave your camera on so that I can see you and so that your classmates can see you. And when you have a question, I'll be standing up at the board and your pictures on my screen are actually not all that big. So I could easily miss your hand. I could easily, even if you put the hand up, with Zoom, I could easily miss that. So just unmute yourself and call out to me. Ask the question. I know that's not necessarily the most comfortable thing to do, but I really would hate to miss your question. It's so important that I can answer your questions when you have them so that the next 20 minutes of lecture isn't going to be a complete blur. Because as I said, it's often a small thing. Please, and I think this might be even harder than it is usually, there's this funny frame of mind that people get into when there's something that doesn't make sense. And they tell themselves, I'm the only one who doesn't understand. Everybody else is getting this. See their faces. They're getting this. No, your classmates are good actors, and so are you. So if you have a question, please ask it. It will not only help you, it will help me, it will help everybody in the class. I don't know how to say this forcefully enough. Please ask. Please don't wait 20 minutes to ask the question, because then 20 minutes go by when things didn't make a lot of sense. Ask the question as soon as you have it, and it'll just work much better. So let's see. Oh, if you see somebody else who wants to ask a question and for some reason they can't unmute themselves, or I am not hearing them, then if you could call my attention to it. What I really want to do is sort of for everybody to act as a community here. We're all separate. You're all in your own places. I'm alone in my office here. And so we don't have the advantage that we usually have when we're all together in a room and a community sort of naturally forms via proximity. So we're going to have to work a little bit harder to act as a community, and I hope that you're willing to do so. Feel free, and I know this is kind of a weird thing to say, and you don't have to do this. I see you are all on mute now. If you prefer to unmute yourself, that is totally fine with me. It's okay to unmute yourself as long as there isn't a lot of background noise. at your place. If there is, then I know that in consideration to everybody else, you want to stay muted. But if there's not a lot of background noise, feel free to unmute yourself so that we can all sort of hear each other. But that I will leave up to you. There will also be tutoring services this semester. Randolph offers free tutoring. Usually during a semester, there are several options for tutoring. There's one-on-one tutoring, and then there's group tutoring. We are still working out the details of the group tutoring. There will certainly be one-on-one tutoring for this course. As I get more details for that, I will pass them along to you. Okay, let's see. The web page. You have already visited the web page because that is the only option this semester. Usually I hand a paper one of these out on the first day, and then you go to the web page at your leisure. But the web page is sort of going to be our point of contact for anything that can't come through Zoom. And so you've already seen that. The grading for this course, there are 3 midterms, and I will talk more about the midterm shortly. There's also a review test once we finish the review material. And obviously there's going to be homework. There'll be homework almost every day. And a final exam. You can see how the course breaks down if you take a look at the grading scheme that's on the syllabus. I have 3 midterms scheduled, one for Friday, October 2nd, one for Friday, October 23rd, one for Friday, November 13th. Those are all tentative dates. We will move those if we have to, but these are the dates I'm planning on. The midterm exams in this class will not be during class time. So you recall that the semester was shortened by 1 week, right? Usually we have a 14-week semester. This time we have a 13-week semester. So in order to make up that time, and also it works a little bit better when we have this, when we're sort of doing remote learning. What I'll do on days where we have exams is I will post them at one part of the day. I'll give you like a 3, 4, 5 hour window to do the exam, and each exam will have a time limit. You can't take 3, 4, 5 hours, which I'm sure will make you very happy because nobody wants to spend 5 hours on a calculus midterm. But I'll give you like an hour and a quarter to do the exam and turn it in. I'm going to explain more to you about turning in exams and those few homework assignments that where you'll have to show your full answers, where you have to write things out, take a picture of your homework assignment and send it to me. I'll explain that a little bit more shortly. But these are the tentative dates for the midterm. If these dates are not working for you for some reason, let me know, and I'll do my best to be as flexible as I possibly can. So the electronics policy that I normally have for this course, I completely scrapped because of the unusual circumstances. And I have an electronics policy this semester that I never thought I would have. So you may use a calculator. That's pretty typical. You can always use a calculator in calculus. The one thing about the calculator is you may not, if you have a graphing calculator, don't use the part of your calculator that graphs, because that sort of defeats the purpose of a lot of the questions that we're working on, a lot of the concepts that we're working on. So you can use anything else in the calculator, but don't use the calculator to graph. You may use if you don't have a calculator, but you want to use the graphing app on, your calculator app on your phone, you may use the calculator app on your phone. That is completely fine. You won't need any super fancy calculator here. Your calculator will need all the basic arithmetic operations. It'll need the trigonometric operations, sine, cosine, tangent, exponentiation, logarithms. That's basically it. So feel free to use the calculator on your phone if you don't have a calculator and you don't want to go out and buy one. For those, I almost hesitate to mention this because some people know this automatically, but I know that there are a lot of people who don't. Your calculator usually, your phone usually comes with a calculator app on it. And a lot of people just say, oh, it's not really all that useful because all it has is plus, minus, times, divide. For those of you that don't know, your calculator app gets more functions when you turn your calculator sideways. If you turn your calculator sideways, you get a bunch more buttons. And I know that you probably know this, but just in case you didn't, I'm just telling you now. So let's see. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you may communicate with other people in this class via, Discord or whatever app you want to use during class. You may do that. So this, when we come back to campus, hopefully next semester, this is not a thing. But this semester, if you want to be in touch only with other people in this class, only with the people you see on your screen, assuming you can see people on your screen right now, and you're not only looking at the syllabus, that is an okay thing to do. So do not communicate with people who are not in this class during class. And of course, during exams, you're meant to take the exam by yourself. You shouldn't be communicating with people in the class. You shouldn't be consulting with any sources of information while you're taking an exam. So that I just want to say that. I have it on the syllabus. That should be pretty obvious, but exams are meant to be done by yourself. There is a blurb on here about accommodations, in case that applies to anybody. Our contact person is Diane Roy, the coordinator of Access Services at the Academic Services Center on the 4th floor of Lipscomb Library, none of which is going to mean anything to you right now because you can't go visit there. So academic honesty. Hopefully you've already had an introduction to the honor code. We take it very seriously here. Please uphold both sides of dual responsibility. The most important thing for this class is never to pass off someone else's work as your own. If you're doing homework and it's supposed to be your work, it should be your work. During midterm and final exams, make sure that you don't get any assistance from anybody else, and make sure that you don't assist anybody else. So let's see. When you're doing pledge problems, we will usually have two kinds of problems in this class: practice problems and pledge problems. When I give you practice problems, you can work together, you can consult any source of information you want, old teachers, your friends, and I don't care. But pledge problems are meant to be done by yourself. The only source of help you can get with a pledge problem is me. Let's see. I do encourage you to work together, not on pledge problems, but on everything else. Study together, work on practice problems together. It doesn't just have to be practice problems I give you. Working together is really an excellent way to learn. Okay, so homework. I will give homework almost every day of class. It usually won't be all that long. If you go back, so I know you're looking at the syllabus right now, but the Math 149 page that you got the syllabus off, you can already see there is a homework assignment posted, homework number 0. It is a point and click homework. This one only has one question on it. Oh, something just occurred to me. Assuming you're trying to do the homework already, it's not going to let you submit because I haven't put your names into the system yet, which is one thing I need to do. So I will do that before early this afternoon. So it won't let you submit your homework yet, but it will let you submit your homework as of relatively early this afternoon. So you should be able to do the homework by then. The homework that I assigned today won't be late until Thursday morning at 9 a.m. So you can turn it in by Wednesday if you want, but it's not late until Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Basically, the homework is always due at 9 a.m. on the day after the next day of class. So if I give you homework on Wednesday, you can do it all the way up until Monday morning at 9 a.m. If I give you homework on Friday, you can do it all the way till Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. So the day after the next day of class at 9 a.m. That's when the homework ceases to be not late. A lot of the homework that we would do this semester will be the point and click multiple choice homework style that you can see for homework 0, assuming you've looked at it already. I'll have right now, as I said, on homework 0, there's only one question. There's usually more questions than that. This is homework 0 is basically there so I can make sure that nobody's having trouble with the with the homework system. There will be a few assignments this semester where I'll need to see your full solutions. And when we have an assignment where I need to see your full solutions, or when you do a midterm, this is how it's going to work. What you're going to do is do your work on your own paper, take a picture of it, and then share it on a Google Drive that I will share with you. Each one of you will have a Google Drive, and you and I will be the only people who can access that drive. And I will talk to you later about how to organize things in that drive, because you know, for one thing, sometimes if you take a picture on your phone and then you upload it, your phone names it and it gives it this long name with tons and tons of characters. I'm not going to be able to find things that way. So we'll talk about renaming your files. We'll talk about organizing things in the drive. But all the stuff that we do there, you're just going to take a picture of. You'll upload it to the drive in an organized way, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. That system worked pretty well during the second half of last semester when we were online. So I've given you a tentative schedule for the course. These are sections out of the textbook that I showed you earlier. This is a tentative schedule. Sometimes we will be behind the schedule. Sometimes we'll be in front of the schedule, but this is what we have right now. There is a blurb here on mandated reporting. Feel free to read that at your leisure. What are your questions about the logistics of this class? I was perfectly clear? Amazing. So after all these years, let me figure out who is here right now. I'm just going to go through the roll. If you could let me know you're here, I would appreciate it. I see, let's see, 27, 26, 30. We're missing 4 people. Okay. Rishab?
Hey, I'm there.
Great. Bhuvan, I saw you here. Delina, and tell me if I'm mispronouncing your name.
You pronounced it right.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, Delina. And I mean that for everybody. Robert, Bailey.
Here.
Okay. Kiana,
Here.
Jessica,
Here.
Stanley.
Here.
Oh, also, if there's a name you prefer, let me know, and I will change it on my roster.
Can I change mine?
Who said that? Yeah.
I go by Kylie, but Jessica's my first name. So
Right. I did know that. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Where are you? Gotcha.
I also go by CJ instead of Stanley.
Gotcha. CJ. Did I miss anybody else so far? All right. Hannah?
Here.
Taylor?
Here.
Antonisha?
I'm here.
Okay. Brandon?
Here.
Grace? Okay. Daniel?
Here.
Calvin? Okie doke. Amanda?
Here.
Jackson?
Here.
Briella? Okay. Zach? All right. Janelle?
Here.
Nathaniel?
Here.
Sarah Presley?
Here.
Sam?
Here.
Kimberly?
Here.
Allison Robertson?
Here.
Okay, I think we have somebody again whose name is different than what I have here. Maria?
Yeah, I go by Valentina.
Right, that's what I thought. Valentina. Alvaro?
Here.
Catherine? Melody?
Here.
Alexis?
Here. And Gracie said that you have to let her back in because it
Oh,
kicked.
yep, I see her. Thank you. Okay, and Mia?
Here.
Great. Is there anybody whose name I didn't call? All right. And you had no more logistic questions? All right, let's get started. So in this course, just as if we were in person, please take notes. It's going to be a little extra hard this semester to stay focused, so taking notes is going to be extra important. I want to talk a little bit about sets and the notation that goes along with sets. So you have already had some experience in sets with school. A set, say A, this is the name of the set over here. These are its elements or members. And to delineate a set, we use these curly braces, like open brace, closed brace. I can write 1, and that symbol right there, that sort of curly E, means is an element of. Or more succinctly, it just means in. 1 is in A, so 1 is one of the elements in A. And so that's what that symbol means right there. We can take two sets. If I give you another set, say B equals 3, 4, 5. We could take two sets and take their union. If I take A and put a little U there, UB, what I get is the elements which are in one set or the other set or both. All the elements that are in one set or the other set or both sets. So what elements are in A or B or both sets? Feel free to unmute yourself and just call it the answer.
3.
If three's certainly in one or the other or both. What else is in one or the other or both?
And 2.
And 2, what else?
1.
And
4, 5.
4 and 5, right. So those are all the elements that are in one or the other or both. So all elements in A or B or both. We can also talk about intersection. If I take A and then that symbol right there means intersection. These are all the elements that are in both sets simultaneously. So which elements are in A and B simultaneously? There's only one.
3.
3, just 3. So these are all the elements that are in both sets simultaneously. I can talk about set minus. A backslash B. A takeaway B. These are all the elements that are in A, but are not in B. All the elements in A, but not in B. What's in A, but not in B?
1, 2.
Just 1 and 2, right. So all elements in A but not in B. Okay. So I want to segue now into, now that we've introduced a little bit of notation, I want to segue into sets of numbers. The first kind of number I want to talk about is the set of natural numbers. And the symbol for the natural numbers is a capital N with a double bar down the left-hand side. Some people put the double bar down the diagonal in the middle. I usually put it on the left-hand side. That's how I'm used to writing it. And these are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on forever, the counting numbers. We actually don't know how far you have to go back in human history for people not to understand the counting numbers. Thousands of years, certainly before the invention of writing. It's sort of one of the most fundamental thing people have to do. I mean, if I have, 20 sheep and my friend Bob on the next hill has 30 sheep, and I take one of his sheep, he's going to know because he can count them. And he can count my sheep too. So this is sort of the most basic set of numbers, the most fundamental set, the first one that people started working with. Next, I'm going to introduce the whole numbers. And we have two symbols for this. Sometimes we write it as a W with a double bar down the left-hand side. And sometimes we just write it with that same N with a double bar down the left-hand side, except we put a little 0 there. And it's exactly the same set, except this time we add the number 0. This is a major technological achievement, and it's actually not that old. 0 was only first completely understood as a number about 1,500 years ago. If you go further back than that, there is really no concept that 0 is a number in the sense that there is in your mind. I know that might seem weird because you have been working very casually with numbers, including 0, since you were so small. You probably can't really remember what it was like not to have the concept of a 0. But it was only first understood as a number about 1,500 years ago. The next set I'm going to introduce is the set of integers. Which the symbol we use for that is a capital Z with a double bar down the middle. These include all the whole numbers. Dot, dot, dot. But also the negative whole numbers, -1, -2, -3, dot, dot, dot. The positive and negative whole numbers, the integers. If you're wondering what the Z is all about, why Z, rather than something else, it comes from the German Zahlen. Anyway, that's the symbol for the integers. The negative numbers also are a relatively modern invention, but almost exactly the same age as 0. About the same time 0 was understood as a number, the negative numbers were understood as numbers too. Now I want to talk about the rational numbers. And to talk about the rational numbers, I'm going to have to introduce just a little bit more notation. Symbol for the rational numbers is Q. Q for quotient. Quotient means divide. The rational numbers are all numbers which you can write as a fraction. And now I'm going to use a colon. The colon means such that. So all numbers you can write as a fraction such that the top, the numerator, and the bottom, the denominator, are in the integers. And also, something has to be true about B. What can't you divide by?
0.
Yeah, B can't be 0. So all numbers you can write as fractions where the top and the bottom are integers and the bottom isn't 0. Now, you don't have to use, you can use a colon to mean such that. A vertical bar also means such that. So if I just write a vertical bar, I could have written this whole thing as x equals a over b, vertical bar such that a and b are integers and b is not equal to 0. So these are numbers like 1/2. 1/2 is a rational number. The top and the bottom are integers. The bottom's not 0. -2/3. -2 divided by 3 is -2 divided by 3 is a irrational number. Also, the number 3 is a rational number because I can write that as 3 divided by 1. So what should be clear to you is any integer is also a rational number. And you may remember some things about rational numbers from middle school, high school. You might remember things about their decimal expansions. The decimal expansion of a rational number either repeats or terminates. That can be a useful way of thinking about it. Q bar, these are the irrational numbers. Numbers like the square root of 2, pi, or e, numbers we'll talk about. These are numbers whose decimal expansions never repeat and never terminate. They just keep going on forever and they never repeat. And the real numbers. R with the double bar down the left-hand side. These are all the irrationals and all the rationals together. All the rationals and all the irrationals. Remember, U means one or the other or both. So basically, all the numbers on the number line. All the numbers on the number line. I want to talk a little bit about intervals of real numbers. Let's talk about this. 1,3 with parentheses around them. This is called an open interval. We were going to graph this on the number line. It's all the numbers starting at 1, going to 3, in between, but not including 1 and 3. And we don't include the 1 and 3. We put an open circle there. So I could write this as an inequality. I could say x is greater than 1, x is bigger than 1, but less than 3. So this is an example of an open interval. We do not include the endpoints. Now let me ask you a question. Maybe this question is going to seem obvious to you. How many numbers are in that interval that I put on the board, the open interval between 1 and 3?
Infinity.
Right, infinitely many. Yeah, there are infinitely many different numbers between 1 and 3 in that open interval. We have 2, of course, but we also have 1.5 and 2 3/4 and the square root of 2. There are infinitely many numbers here, not just the number 2. Let me give you an example of a closed interval. How about 2, 4? This is a closed interval. So these are all the numbers between 2 and 4, but we're going to include the 2 and we're going to include the 4 this time. So we will include the 2, we'll indicate that with a closed circle, and we'll include the 4, we'll indicate that with a closed circle, and we'll shade everything into the middle. So let me ask you this. What if I ask you to write as an interval the open interval 1, 3, intersection 2, 4. So remember, intersection means all the numbers which are simultaneously in this first interval and in the second interval. Is the number 1.5 in simultaneously in both intervals?
No.
No, it's not. I mean, it's in this first one, but it's not in the second one, right? Where do the numbers that are simultaneously in both start?
At 2.
At 2, right. 2 is in this first one and it's in the second one. So they start at 2. So 2 is definitely included in both of these. How far can I go and have numbers that are in both intervals?
So 3.
The 3. Is 3 in both intervals?
No, it's not included in the first one.
Yeah, it's not included in the first one. It is included in the second one. So I'm going to put a round parenthesis there because I don't include 3, but anything between 2 and 3 is certainly in there. Like 2 and 3/4 is definitely in both. 2 and 9/10 is definitely in both. But 3, sorry, I'm pointing in the wrong place. But 3 is not in the second one. It's not in the first one. It is in the second one, but it's not in the first one. So I don't include 3. So I have this, what's called a half open interval. And if I was going to graph this on the number line, I would put a closed circle at 2, an open circle at 3, and shade everything in the middle. If I have something like this, this means everything bigger than 2, including 2. Everything at least as big as 2. So graphing this on the number line, put a closed circle at 2, and you shade everything to the right. So this is x at least as big as 2. Always put a parenthesis right next to an infinity or a minus infinity. Okay, we are just about out of time. So I have been sort of lecturing from these notes that I've written up. These notes I'm going to post on the web page, on our Math 149 web page in the first day of class. So these review notes that we have, I'll post there. I still want you taking notes, of course. Once we get into the calculus part of the course, once we finish our review, I won't have pre-printed notes, but these will be able to supplement your own notes. Are there any questions? Okay, if you have any suggestions, if you are hoping that things go differently than they did today, please let me know. Again, thank you to many of you for leaving your cameras on. I realize it's not possible for everybody. And again, thank you to some of you for leaving your microphones on. I realize that's not possible for everybody. Please talk to each other and do your best to feel like a class, even though we are separated by the miles. I will see you all on Wednesday. Please be on time for class. And in the meantime, feel free to email me if you have any questions. I will be on my office hours this afternoon and tomorrow morning. Bye now.